went to a function the other day and I was talking to somebody about, funnily enough, about chemtrails. And this person said to me, well, I really don't understand how you can possibly believe this stuff. It's nonsense. These are just conspiracies. Actually, to be honest, he was a little bit more polite than that. But that was the gist of what he was saying. And I started to think about my belief in chemtrails and how I came to believe in them. And I'm just going to go through the process I went through, because I don't think that I took it on board just like that. I did think about it for quite a long time. The first thing that occurred to me was I started to notice these huge streaks across the sky, which I certainly never saw when I was young. When I was young, and certainly even in the 80s, for example, you used to see planes forming a small contrail, a tadpole-like trail behind them, but you would never see these incredible streaks going right across the sky from horizon to horizon. So that was the first thing that got me thinking. In the past, I also used to look up at the skies quite a lot, and you used to see different types of skies. You used to see completely grey skies, covered in cloud, grey cloud. You would see completely blue skies, far more often than you see them now. You would see blue skies with clouds, usually cumulus clouds, and you'd often see the sun coming out from behind the clouds, which is sort of rare now. Nowadays you see clouds, if you see clouds, you see clouds and whiteout. Now, whiteout was not something that I ever used to see when I was young. I don't remember it at all. And the whiteout is really quite bizarre because you can see the sun through it, but it's just a completely opaque white blanket, which very often has clouds sitting on top of it. Really, it is very bizarre. The next thing that got me thinking was the pathways that the planes take. I understand that planes, when they travel in the sky, passenger jets, for example, they have to follow almost like highways in the sky. And the pathways that I was seeing, sometimes early in the morning when I would be driving along the road, would be absolutely ridiculous. And I've shown you one of the photos that I took here. The next thing that got me thinking was the fact that in the past they have sprayed people from aeroplanes. The government in England, for example, and this was revealed by a Freedom of Information request, which I have seen, sprayed cadmium during the Cold War. They didn't know what the effects on people's health was, and I don't think they much cared. So there is a history of this. For those people who say that the whole idea of chemtrails is ridiculous, they need to realise that the government is actually talking now, and it's been shown even in the press, they are talking about releasing particulates into the air in order to combat global warming, the so-called geo-engineering the climate. So that's being openly talked about, but what they're not doing is admitting that they are already doing it, as most of us see is happening. There is a patent that is out, which is a patent that came out in 1975, so it's been out for a long time, and it is owned by the United States of America as represented by the Secretary of State for the Navy. So it is being taken very, very seriously and has been for some time. Next, you have the story of Monsanto, which apparently has been developing seeds which are resistant to aluminium. Of course, aluminium is thought to be one of the substances that is in the chemtrails. You have aluminium and you have barium, among other things. Monsanto's motto used to be, it's changed it now I understand, but it used to be, nothing grows that we don't own. Their motivation I believe, is to force people to buy aluminium-resistant Terminator seeds. That is seeds which you can't reuse the next year, so people will have to go to Monsanto and buy their seeds every year, which will put the farmers out of business and already has done in India, I understand. I repeat, nothing grows that we don't own. Funnily enough, Bill Gates, who has an eye to making money, has invested heavily both in geoengineering and in Monsanto. And the final piece of evidence which has convinced me that chemtrails are real is the fact that NASA admits that the Earth is dimming, and by a substantial amount, I may add. So it's interesting, isn't it, that the governments admit that these trails are spreading in the sky and forming clouds blocking out the sun. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that that's a really serious issue. It means that we're not going to get vitamin D, which we need for our health. It means that our crops are not going to grow. And yet, there's all this talk about global warming, which many people say is just a hoax. And there's no talk about the fact that these trails from aeroplanes are spreading out and blocking out the sun. I can't think of a more important issue, but the prostitute media say nothing about it. So my impression is that when all the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle fit together, then you have evidence of an actual conspiracy fact, not a conspiracy theory.